Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start our debate then. Thank you. So the debate today, as you guys know, is about whether or not the U.S. was justified in dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You guys did a good job preparing all your arguments yesterday, and so today you're going to be presenting them to the rest of the class. So just so we know, everybody should have a piece of paper out. Why do we need a piece of paper out?
Notes.
Okay, why do we need to take notes?
Now rebuttal.
Further rebuttal, exactly.
And to learn.
And to learn. Thank you, everybody. So we're going to go ahead. Be sure you have a piece of paper out because everybody should be contributing to brainstorming the rebuttal. After you guys give your arguments, I'm going to be maybe asking you a couple of questions to help you to explain it better and to maybe challenge what you're saying. So be ready for that. So be sure you know your argument. Pay attention to the time. And so in order to decide who's going to start, this side will be heads, this side will be tails. Whichever side it's on is going to start.
Wow.
Heads.
Heads. Okay, so you guys start first. Okay, so everybody's attention needs to be on Miguel. You guys will be taking notes. I'm going to start the time. When the time starts, Miguel, you can begin your opening statement. Okay, that time's not working. Let's try this again. Here we go. Time has begun, Miguel.
Well, it was justified for the U.S. to drop the atomic bomb because to Japan because the Japanese didn't surrender. Also, if Japan would have had surrender, it wasn't necessary for us to use the bomb on you guys. On Japan, sorry. And after attacking the military base, U.S. decided to bomb Nagasaki and Hiroshima because they were industrial cities, meaning that's where they made their exported stuff like weapons. And during this debate, we will prove you guys wrong.
Thank you. And so, Miguel, so the question that we have for you, so because the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, your group agrees that it is justified that they should bomb these other two cities?
Yes.
Is that true? Why do you think so?
Well, why? Because, like I mentioned, they caught us off guard. Like, we had no problem against them. They just came out of the nowhere to bomb us, basically, because they felt like it.
Okay.
And they destroyed our military base, which is something important to us.
Okay, great argument. Thank you. All right, so I'll stop the time. And we are going to go ahead and let the other group go ahead and give their rebuttal. I believe we have Michael with the opening remarks.
What's a rebuttal?
Oh, well, with your turn, sorry. Not the rebuttal yet. That's what we're all excited about.
The intro.
Michael, your intro, if you will.
All right. The U.S. was not justified in dropping the bomb because the bomb was not needed, because Japan was ready to surrender anyway. They were ready to surrender. Why would you still drop a bomb? More than 60 of its cities had been destroyed by conventional bombing, and the Soviet Union entered the war by attacking Japanese troops in Manchuria. And the U.S. had not even tried to negotiate or offer more reasonable terms of surrender. So instead of trying to work it out, those dirty Americans just dropped the bomb.
All right, well, let's refrain from making judgments like that.
And the U.S. was racist with the Japanese people, and they ended the war, and hundreds of thousands of people were dead. They put Japanese people in internment camps. That was not justified. They put Japanese Americans who were actually born in America in internment camps. That's not fair to me. Now, you may look at that as being fair, but I do not, and I'm not the type of person that looks at dropping bombs on people, killing people, and torturing them and putting them in intern camps is the right thing to do. Now, if you think that's the right thing to do, then God help your soul.
So that was powerful. But I do have one question for Michael. So for what other reasons do you believe that the U.S. was racist against the Japanese? You mentioned internment camps, and that's good, but what other evidence do you have for that?
The evidence is when they use the word Japs. to describe the Japanese people. Very racial slur, very racist. We can see the racism through propaganda.
Yes.
Where they put Japanese people, soldiers. How can the soldiers have tied eyes? It's a little racist.
So how were the Japanese soldiers depicted in those propaganda posters?
Oh, you know that. Yeah, they were always like,
How would you describe that in words?
I don't know. Like savages. They made the Japanese people look like they were the only ones killing when the U.S. killed too. Not saying that it was right that Japanese dropped the bomb first, but dropping a bomb on them doesn't solve the problem. We have to ask ourselves how we can make this thing work and flow without billions of people having to be destroyed.
Thank you. There wasn't quite billions, but
What?
there wasn't quite billions that were destroyed. But there were lots.
Billions.
Thank you.
Thousands.
That was a very good opening remark. Now we are going to be going on to our first argument, which is Edna. Yes.
Yes.
Stand up. So you will have 2 minutes for this. You don't have to use the whole thing, but knock our socks off. Here we go.
Okay, the Japanese use the atomic bomb as an excuse to get out of the war, and in other words, they wanted the war to end already. So,
Okay, so can you explain that a little bit more? So how is it an excuse to get out of the war?
because they wanted the war to end, and like they didn't want anymore.
And why did they want the war to end? What was happening to the Japanese, which we studied in our gallery box? Anyone can help her out. Anyone in the group?
They didn't want to surrender. They didn't want to surrender because it was dishonorable.
Okay, good. So they didn't want to surrender because it was considered dishonorable. So then how did dropping the bomb give them kind of a way out of this dishonor?
They were forced to surrender.
So they were forced to surrender. So by the U.S. using this dramatic weapon,